You're busy, but something feels off. You keep moving, yet nothing you're doing feels like it's building. The days are full, the weeks are productive, and still, the numbers barely change. You notice the years passing faster than your savings, and the effort doesn't feel worth what it returns. You wake up, work, solve problems, close loops. From the outside, it looks stable, responsible even. From the inside, there's a quiet unease you don't talk about. You're doing what you were told works. You're saving. You're being careful. You're keeping cash just in case. And yet progress feels linear while life feels finite. Nothing is compounding. Nothing feels inevitable. You don't feel broke. You feel stalled. You have a job or a business or both. Income shows up on schedule. Bills get paid. Some money is left over, and it goes into an account labeled safety. You check it sometimes, not because it's growing meaningfully, but because it's there. But reassurance isn't the same as momentum. You work consistently, yet ownership never seems to increase. Your income may rise, but your freedom stays flat. You're productive all day, but nothing you did yesterday works for you today. Long term thinking gets postponed because today feels consuming. Stability slowly gets mistaken for progress. Weeks are busy, but they leave no residue. Months pass, and the reset happens again. 10 years of effort can vanish with a single missed paycheck. There's no drama in this, no obvious failure, just a capped game being played well. You've learned how to survive. You've learned how to be responsible. You've learned how to avoid disaster. But nobody explained how wealth actually works. Nobody told you that effort and reward quietly divorced each other. Nobody explained that income is not the same thing as ownership. Nobody said the rules changed while the language stayed the same. You are trained to maximize salary, not leverage. You were taught that hard work is virtuous, not that it's limited. You learn to measure success in monthly numbers, not in compounding systems. So you optimized for what was visible: predictable pay, emergency cash, safety. And the strange part is, it worked. It just didn't scale. This is where the discomfort starts to sharpen. Because the problem isn't that you're bad with money. The problem is that you were never shown a different mental model. Here's the distinction that changes everything: wealth doesn't behave like income. Income resets, wealth compounds. Money you earn disappears the moment you stop earning it. Assets keep working after you step away. Time is finite. Leverage is not. The game you're in matters more than how hard you play it. And this is where the emergency fund quietly becomes a trap. Cash feels safe because it doesn't move, but what doesn't move also doesn't multiply. An emergency fund is designed for survival, not growth. It protects you from downside, but it guarantees no upside. It anchors your thinking to short term certainty while silently taxing your long term potential. You're told to hold more of it as life gets more uncertain, but uncertainty is exactly where leverage lives. Cash can't make decisions. Cash can't learn. Cash can't build relationships, products, code, media, or reputation. Cash waits, and waiting has a cost. The cost isn't inflation headlines or market cycles. The cost is opportunity compounding somewhere else. Here's a quiet truth: wealth is what earns while you sleep, not because you're clever, but because you own something that compounds. The default belief is that work equals reward. It feels fair, it feels clean, but work alone produces linear outcomes. You trade time for money. When time stops, so does the flow. The underlying principle is that ownership breaks that link. Ownership lets results scale independently of your hours. The identity shift isn't dramatic, it's quiet, reflective, and precise. It's subtle. You stop seeing yourself as someone who gets paid. You start seeing yourself as someone who builds things that pay. Another belief sits underneath the emergency fund logic. Safety comes from predictability, predictable income, predictable expenses, predictable savings. The outcome is a narrow range of futures. Very few are bad, none are extraordinary. The deeper principle is that leverage multiplies judgment, not effort. It rewards those who make good decisions repeatedly, not those who stay busy. Leverage shows up as code, media, capital, teams, brand, trust. None of these fit neatly into a savings account. All of them scale beyond you. The identity shift here is uncomfortable. You stop optimizing for certainty. You tolerate ambiguity in exchange for upside. There's another belief that keeps things stuck. Long term thinking can wait. Today has bills. Today has obligations. Today has emergencies. So you postpone the future indefinitely. The result is 10 years of motion that look identical in retrospective. Effort without accumulation, growth without escape velocity. The underlying principle is that long term games reward patience and reputation. They look slow at first, then they become unfair. Reputation compounds quietly. Skills stack invisibly. Networks deepen over time. The identity shift is internal. You stop asking what pays now. You notice what keeps paying later. And then there's the most uncomfortable belief of all. Busy means productive. It fills the day. It silences doubt. But busyness often replaces judgment. It becomes a way to avoid choosing a direction. The principle beneath it is simple. Specific knowledge can't be copied or outsourced. It grows at the intersection of curiosity, time, and leverage. The identity shift is gentle but firm. You stop proving your effort. You start protecting your attention. If nothing you're doing compounds, what exactly is all this effort buying? 5 years of the same choices doesn't look dramatic. 10 years quietly calcifies. 20 years locks in a life shaped by early assumptions. Effort without ownership doesn't compound. Most careers are designed for predictability, not upside. Busyness can be a form of avoidance, not progress. This isn't criticism, it's math. Cash feels responsible because it reduces anxiety today, but anxiety avoided now often returns as regret later. The alternative isn't reckless, it's different. Uncertainty instead of guarantees, learning instead of hoarding, ownership instead of accumulation, games that reward patience instead of attendance. None of this promises ease, it promises leverage. So two paths stay open. One path keeps effort high and leverage low, predictable income, capped upside, comfort today, constraint tomorrow. The other path trades short term certainty for long term compounding, ownership, systems that grow without you. Neither path is labeled right or wrong, they just lead to different futures. If this continued for 10 years, would you be satisfied? What are you actually building? Does it scale without you? When time looks back, will it see accumulation or repetition? The math always works, eventually. Time will decide which game you played.